Hey, hello, Grant. Welcome to GoCast.
Hey, thanks. Great
Well,
to be here, Julian.
well, it's really a great honor to have you, and especially because it's the first time we're doing the live stream podcast. It's
Mm.
kind of an extension of the GoCast that we do in the studio, and we're here. We're at GoSec. It's super good energy. Everyone's
Oh,
super
yeah.
happy, and you just ended your keynote.
Yep.
And I can tell I was in a crowd, and people were taking picture. We're super happy. You have such good content. But if you don't mind, let's start first by who Grant is, where you come from. If you can just tell us how you started in cyber and how did it happen for you?
So when I was on stage, I admitted I'm just the Gilligan. I'm no professor. As so many of us, I think, know, life is really falling down a mountain. We don't have a whole lot of control in the direction we're going. We just try to stay on our feet, and we often don't necessarily accurately predict how things are going to go. And that was certainly the case with me. I was a young 19-year-old selling fishing tackle and knives for a wholesale distributor. I didn't fish. I didn't carry a knife, but the owner was an educated guy, and he went out and bought an Apple II Plus to try to manage our 30, 40,000 SKUs, right? I mean, all this, if you've ever been in a fishing tackle aisle, it's just crazy. And it was about maybe 2 or 3 months after we got it, he goes, we should be selling these, not fishing tackle. And
The computer, you mean the Mac?
Yeah. In 1983, in fact, 6 months before Apple introduced the Macintosh, I helped open up an Apple dealership.
Really?
I couldn't spell computer.
How much was a computer at that time?
Oh my, the new flagship from Apple at the time was an Apple IIe. It had 64K of memory, expandable to 128K with an extended 80-column text card. And that computer with 2 floppy drives, each 140K, ridiculous, right? And a monochrome 72 DPI screen, all in about $2,500.
Wow.
And it was not uncommon for a husband and wife to come in and drop $3,500 for a computer and a printer and the software. And this was back at a time when, there's a great line in business where there's mystery, there's margin. And there was a great deal of mystery and subsequently a fair or great deal of margin in the retail dealer marketplace before the industry matured and ultimately bifurcated with the CompUSAs and large Tandy Radio Shack computer stores, and then what we know now as VARs, non-storefronts. That really occurred when I was at Apple back in the early 90s. But what happened was I went to work. I was skidding on my chin. In 1998, I went to work for this small startup in Seattle that was the first for you techie, nerdy geeks. The internet was 100% Unix.
Yeah.
There was no Windows,
Solaris,
nothing. It was Unix. Came from the university world. And so consequently, critical infrastructure components like DNS, they were all Unix based. It was called BIND, Berkeley Internet Name and Domain. As the internet started to infiltrate the world, most of us were using Windows or Macs. Windows, really, DOS Windows. There wasn't any DNS that ran on Windows. And this company in Seattle was the first in the world to port that BIND code, that Unix code, to run on a Windows server. And it was huge. And why it was relevant for Checkpoint, which again, I think is very interesting and germane to, a little plug for Checkpoint, their innovation and really their vision. If you've ever managed a policy with Checkpoint, the way you write the policy is the source, the destination, the action. I mean, that's fundamentally it, right? So source is me, destination is you, action, block. But you didn't know who I was, so you would say, hey, Julian, what's the IP address? It was constantly looking up in a spreadsheet, getting the IP address, right? And so Checkpoint's vision was, hey, if we bought this company that just now they've got a DNS, there's an infrastructure directory that we can tie into And now I can write a policy that says source, grant at, destination, Julian at, in our language. Much easier, but nobody cared. I mean, we had it, but nobody cared. That's how I found my way, not only into the industry, but then subsequently into cyber. And after the bubble burst, I actually bought the company back from Checkpoint. Checkpoint retained 20%. I had 80. I had it 5 more years. I ended up selling it to a company down in Virginia, Newstar. I think I've said I'm probably number 17 on the luckiest people on the planet. My life has been.
You're grateful, right?
I am. I just feel like I've been really fortunate.
Well, I must admit, we are to have you here at GoSec. And just to, bring us back into the keynote conversation, you were talking a lot about AI. And there's one thing you said, AI is not going to replace people, but people with AI is going to replace people without.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So what's your take around, everything is moving so fast now, but what's for you, the timeline between now and where it's going replacement wise? I mean,
it's so difficult to forecast, and I'll kind of back up and I think explain why. And I talked about Transformer, which was the technology that came out of Google in 2017. What Transformer did is, let's say that before that revolution, you were writing machine learning, machine language, machine learning to do image recognition. And I was working on machine learning speech to text. What you were doing and what I was, there's no way they could intermingle. I mean, literally, they're separate silos. So any white papers or insights in my domain would be irrelevant to you because it's literally a different silo. We're twiddling bits. And as such, our advancements were highly incremental when we're, at that level. But when in 2017, what Transformer did is changed everything to language, the same language, English. So now all of my effort, your effort, and anyone else's effort in their particular domain is now in one bucket. And if you look at what happened, that technology was released and announced in 2017. But look what happened. It was almost like it was getting compressed so that when it really came out and impacted the world, it was exponential. And that was about 2022 when we saw ChatGPT come out. And it was that accelerated exponential that has now resulted in the pace that's literally full vertical. So going back to the question, trying to predict, if you watch Hinton, right, he talks about some of the timelines and predictions. And I don't know, I would say we still have a window of maybe 5 years, but it's nuanced because it's going to be like a teeter-totter. It's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's just going to slowly start biting away at capabilities, functions. It's going to come down more to our trust and confidence in that agent, in that AI, performing the task appropriately, successfully, correctly, and with a level of confidence that I don't have to stand and watch it all the time. And I don't know, I vacillate because when I read yesterday, because I wanted to do some research to have some compelling or interesting current info for the presentation. And when I saw that stuff on deception and the percentage is 80 or nearly 79% or higher across the board, all 15 of them, that makes me go, man, should we really be running full speed like this?
Yeah.
But then I go to the other side and say, man, if we don't, we're going to get our butts kicked.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's really it's very difficult.
Yeah, and to your point, I think the AI is now the shield and the sword at
Totally.
the same time.
Yeah, that's why I said fire with fire. And it will be rage against the machines. And what's going to be interesting, to me anyway, is some of the conflicts and how we're going to overcome them. And let me explain one. We've all seen Boston Dynamics and just some of the remarkable robotics that are emerging. And when I see these dogs that look like a dog, but it's a robot dog that can do more than my dog, and I never have to feed it. I mean, never have to put that plastic glove on to follow it at the park. I mean, there's a lot of great benefits. Now, we in the country have said, no way, we're not going to combine warfare with AI. I liken it very similarly to the conundrum we're in with global climate change and the impact. If you've got a country as massive as, pick one of them, that doesn't care like we care about burning plastic and what they're putting into the air, regardless, it's probably not fair to say regardless, but our impact is really diminished if they're just keeping on more plastic. Because it's just one atmosphere. And so that's where I go, gosh, if we're looking after our own good, we said, hey, that's, rules of engagement. We're not going to do that. But our enemies have access to all the same technology and are doing it. Now we're in a conundrum.
Sure.
And I think that you're going to start to see more of those types. We're in the only industry where there's no end. Think about it. There's only one other industry that is parallel, in my opinion, to cyber, and it's war. But what's the one difference? I have never, ever heard of any cyber criminal waving a white flag.
True.
Asking for a truce. We generally, for the most part, we kind of get there eventually. Stop killing. Maybe we turn around and get out quick, whatever it is, but we stop the kinetic warfare. I just don't see that happening in cyber. In fact, I see it escalating. I see it becoming much, much more evasive. I mean, with the combination of AI now, we're seeing phishing emails that literally have, let's say that you just go to work for a new company. You just go to work for GoSec, right? You're the new director of communications for GoSec. And so you proudly announce on LinkedIn, hey, everybody, I'm the new director of communications for GoSec. So I target you. So I stick my AI on reconnaissance. I find out who you work for, who your boss is, who's your boss's boss, who's your boss's boss's boss, the whole gamut. And then I craft a phishing email that cites in a thread those people. The likelihood of you being only at the company for 8 days and you get this email, click here to fill out your new employee form. And you look, you go, geez, from my boss. I mean, they're getting very good.
Speaking of time, it's the time we had today for the podcast. I want to thank you very much again for taking the time.
Of course.
And, I know it's not your first GoSec, and hopefully we'll see each other in the next GoSec.
I was honored to be invited. I really appreciate it. It's a terrific event. We love to support it, and we're looking forward to being back for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Julian.
Have a good one.
Thank you.